Yeah, I'm liking that. Let me adjust my chair. Mm. Yeah, feeling good. How we doing today, everybody? All right, it's Tuesday. That sounds real nice. Okay, I hope everyone's having a good night tonight. This is Nero Des. Welcome to the Nero Des channel. We stream almost every night, upload our videos almost every day. Please come hang out. This is a place of fun. This is a place where we get to explore anything off on the internet, what's going on, things that are happening, video games, video game news, a little bit of the world news, things that happen, just whatever floats our boat. I hope you're enjoying the channel. Hope you're enjoying the show. Do check me out. Please make sure you are adding on to the goal count. Every little bit of support I appreciate. Really do. Helps me out. I'm just a hobbyist right now, and I really want you guys to enjoy what you're seeing. So we got something coming up right now. An ad. I'll mute it for you. Been seeing a lot of Ryan Reynolds here after Deadpool 3. That was definitely a good movie. Um, Not much of his other stuff I watch. Deadpool. I remember Ryan back in the old comedy movie days, Van Wilder, and what was another one? He played like a dork. Uh, Best Friends, I think, and Waiting. That's another one. Yeah, yeah. Well, anyways, let's take a look here. Here's for something completely different.
I don't like attempted murder. I said it. Go ahead, dry your tears.
Wow, hold on now, Charlie. Let's slow our roll for a second. That look bad? It might look pretty bad. Let's see.
I don't like attempted murder. I said it. Go ahead, dry your tears. I'm not taking it back. I'm not going to censor myself. I don't care whose feathers get ruffled by
Taking
that
hot
gun.
takes
I
now,
don't
huh?
like attempted murderers. And by extension, I don't like successful murderers either.
I was gonna say, like, he doesn't like attempted murder because, I mean, who half-asses things nowadays?
But
Who
today
should
I
be?
saw a video of some pranksters, I think. I don't even know. Just some downright losers who treated attempted murder as content. One guy, Mr. Olympiad, a giant chair, like a really heavy chair, and then threw it off the third floor of a mall where it
Oh,
plummeted
wow.
3 stories down, nearly hitting bystanders at the bottom. Which,
I've been to malls where you have multiple levels and like in the lobby, like the main area. I've been in hotel resorts where you're having multiple levels and like a balcony that overlooks everything. Um, it's dangerous. I've had those what is it, those intrusive thoughts like, man, what if someone were to just I won't even finish that sentence, but there's a lot of things that happen and a lot of people who have bad ideas and ugh, it's scary.
if it did hit them, absolutely would
Yeah,
have
and a
killed
big
them.
chair like that would totally break someone's neck. Oh, that's not even like a okay, that is weight right there. That's easily 10 to 20 pounds of force that's going to fall on someone's head and neck, possibly a child, a baby in a stroller. I mean, who knows? Someone's grandma. Bro. The way it hit the ground too, like kids.
That sound that the cameraman makes is the exact sound Bart makes when Homer strangles him. That is just one of the worst sounds I've ever heard a human being make. It sounds like he's being waterboarded in honey, like really thick, and he's just gargling it up.
Mm.
The caption saying, "No way, bro, almost killed someone, nah," with the crying, laughing emojis is
Hold on. Let me see if I can make that a little bit bigger. Yeah, that's better. That looks right now. Man, this is crazy. I have to tell you, there's been stories, and I even think even somewhere near me, there were some kids throwing rocks and bricks off of bridges, and yeah, it killed somebody. And I know that people have seen it on the news. It's not unheard of. It's very similar to this. You're throwing, you know, something that's heavy that can do damage. Um, Gosh, these are just kids, doing something for attention, man. But the destruction that it's causing, you gotta, I hate to say it, you gotta throw the book at them. I mean, like it's really it. You can't even feel bad for them. I mean, like there's such a negligence of life and what can happen, and you have to make an example why you can't do this. 'Cause unfortunately, I don't. What else we're gonna do? We're gonna put walls, windows, some kind of barrier for every balcony. Like we just can't trust our own human nature with everybody around. I mean, that's not fair.
just diabolical. It's just evil. I'm sure their
It is
reaction would have been
evil.
exactly the same if that did go down there and just fucking blow somebody up. If someone did die from that, I'm sure the caption would have just been tweaked a little bit like, "Bro just killed somebody, what a menace," laughing, crying emoji. It's to this point where people like this that grow up with social media convincing them that everyone around them's an NPC to exploit and use for content, it just makes them believe that everyone around them's just not even real. Like they're not even human beings. So if someone died there, shit, that's just more content for them. It's really scary.
Cody, Cody, Cody. Oh no, no, Cody. What the hell is this? Come on. No way I did that.
That's where it stops. He is in disbelief he did that, nearly killing people for this stunt. It's not a stunt. He just grabbed a heavy object and threw it over the railing
Yeah,
at the
but
mall.
so much.
What the
It,
fuck?
we're
This
lucky
happened
that's
in
all that
Westfield,
happened.
Stratford, and from what I've read, police are investigating it. But I'm at the point where I just have no faith in authorities to ever actually punish people that do this shit harshly. Like, pranksters get to run rampant, like, just being a complete nuisance.
Really, in many cases, nothing will happen of it unless, I mean, you can figure out who these kids were, and there was enough attention to really, make them known. Um, you're right. Unfortunately, I think that there's just not enough um, enforcement with some of these things that go unnoticed, and maybe like cities and bigger populated area. I mean, maybe just everywhere. There's things that go unnoticed, and uh, you know, I get like we don't like sticklers for rules, but we're talking about things that are violent, dangerous, random acts of violence, and that's what this really is. It's a random act of violence. There's no really other way to look at it. You're throwing something that even if the kid didn't intend on hitting anybody, there's a chance it can. And that's like me taking a golf ball and starting to just practice my swing towards the highway. I mean, this is totally, illegal, and it should be. And you know, he they do need to have some kind of uh, consequence for these actions. I mean, that's just really it. You got to make sure that these things are dealt with and they don't happen again.
Hurting people, harassing people, in this case, nearly fucking killing people. And it's just to the point that I really think we need to be a lot harder on it because that 100% should be attempted murder. Look at how close it was to hitting the people down below there. That's like dropping a fucking anvil out of a cartoon
Yeah,
on
that's
somebody, but
crazy.
it's real life. That is just going to flatten them. if they survive.
He's so lucky he didn't kill somebody. I mean, just being honest, it could have been way worse. And I don't even know if they told me the age of this kid, but man, like I said, I've seen in the news kids throwing things off of bridges and it kills somebody. And I mean, you're talking about a person, man. That's insane.
It would be a miracle, and they would 100% be suffering from permanent debilitating injuries, most likely some kind of paralysis. But the most likely outcome is they would have died if that hit them, and it was very close to hitting them. It immediately reminded me of those people
Here
that
we
were
go.
throwing rocks
There's
over the
Michigan, my
interstate
state.
and ended up killing people from it. So I looked into
Like I said, this I was just talking about it. This happened near me on I-75, and I don't live far from the highway. A group of kids just, and the sad thing is I've heard growing up too of other kids doing this, and um, you know, we've all been kids. I've done stupid things before, things that I look back and cringe at, but this is life, and gosh, I can't imagine. Just picture the other perspective of, you're in the car just going about your daily life trying to get to work, or you got to pick up your kids from school, or maybe you're driving with someone going on vacation, or who knows what it may be, and then boom, just random act of violence for no reason. Life changing, could kill somebody.
because I never remembered the aftermath. Well, in both cases where
These
someone was
kids
murdered
all
by
got
the
charged
rock
as an
throwing over
adult,
the
as they
interstate,
should have.
they got off pretty easy.
Oh, did
Like
they?
there was a little bit of jail
No.
time, but everyone involved in those rock throwing interstate murders, they're all free now.
Are they?
I think that sucks. Like I understand they
I think that sucks too. You know what? I haven't followed it, and I'm actually kind of surprised. The last I knew, they were all getting jail time, and I guess I did not realize they're out.
were kids doing that, but kids know how dangerous that is. Part of the game was causing damage to the vehicles. They just didn't expect someone to die from it. Like they know how dangerous that is. So the excuse of, oh, they're kids, they don't know any better, just
They
doesn't
were
fly.
vandalizing.
Because they obviously know. That was like the whole point of the game, is causing damage and pain. Like, why is that not more harshly punished? And they attempted to try them as adults, but it got overturned. I'm not here to get into the nitty gritty of those cases, but the point is, why are we not harder on shit like this? In this video, we just saw them nearly kill people, and they recognize that, and to them, it's just a big joke. People's lives don't mean anything to them. It's just a
How's the
laughing
volume?
matter to them. Like, it's not Looney Tunes. It's not like a piano falling on somebody's head in Looney Tunes where
Let me know if
you
that's
see
better.
stars and you have piano key teeth. They almost just killed people. Like, I really hope that this investigation that they're conducting to find them results in a very serious sentencing.
I mean, that's a big sofa. I mean, Charlie said earlier in the video it was a chair. I mean, they threw half of a lazy boy. I mean, it just was missing the back. I mean, it had the whole base. You could tell there. I mean, that thing didn't just hit the ground clunk. That thing crashed. It easily could have broken some bones.
Big update as I was making this video. 15 minutes ago, this was published stating that 2 teenagers have been arrested after a viral
They
video
got
showed
'em.
a chair being launched from a third-floor balcony at Stratford Westfield, narrowly missing shoppers on Saturday. Police said a 14-year-old and 16-year-old boy were arrested on suspicion
Young.
of criminal damage after a heavy seat was thrown from the shopping center's 3rd floor.
How much? And again, I'm assuming things. So, you know, it is what it is. But what would you say the chances would be that it was the 14-year-old who threw it and the 16-year-old who kind of was just there egging him on? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it was the older kid that threw it. But they obviously together, they just were getting too hyped up, man. I I don't get where it got where did it become cool just to vandalize things, man? I mean, that's That's the crazy thing. I I used to hang out in the mall. I used to loiter and maybe we would be out in the parking lot or whatever, but to just destroy things, that's crazy.
That's good they've been arrested, and now it's time to actually make an example out of this. You might remember a year or so ago, actually, I don't remember how long it's been now, there was a prankster who was terrorizing the UK, breaking into houses, attacking people, jumping on people, threatening people, stealing people's dogs. And that prankster got arrested like 5 times, and every single time they just let him go. No
Oh
slap on the
yeah,
wrist, no real
I
consequences at
think this
all.
kid
And
was
that
on the
prankster was
news
well
too,
aware of it,
wasn't he?
even just openly mocking authorities for how light they were
He
on
became a
everything he was
celebrity.
doing.
He's gone now. You don't
Eventually,
hear
they
about him
actually did
anymore.
give him, I think it was an 18-week prison sentence. And when he finished that, guess what? He
He did
stopped
it again.
doing it.
He
I
did?
just checked on him a moment ago, just going through his Instagram, and it seems like he has actually turned his life around and he is trying to be better.
He did it for internet clout. There he is. That's the guy. I remember. Piece of shit. He did it for the infamy.
He's just now celebrating his ability to drive a car, saying no more breaking into people's houses. So it looks like, and who would imagine, if you actually punish people for really shitty behavior like this, it helps not only everyone around them, but the person themselves. So in this case, I know they're kids, but they knew that this could kill people and they didn't care. This should be treated with the severity that it warrants. It was risking innocent people's lives. So there is no benefit to just taking it easy on them because, oh, they didn't know any better. They did. They absolutely did. They even say that they did, recognizing that people could have died. So I think it stands to reason that this should be something they take very, very seriously. Not just a
I
slap on a
hope they
wrist,
do.
not just a $200 fine because you hurt that chair and, well, there was a little damage to the floor. And don't do it again while shaking your finger at them. None of that shit. I really think this should be a time to make an example. Like, no more of this, we're going to crack down on it. Because, as has been shown, if you let them just keep getting away with doing shit like this that jeopardizes the safety of others, they're going to keep doing it because it's big on social media. By just letting pranksters fucking steamroll you and letting them just go hog wild, it's bad for everybody.
There it is. I agree. Charlie is 100% right here. Doesn't matter the age, and I get like you have to. There are laws that are treated differently for juvenile versus being treated as an adult. These are young teenage. I mean, 14 and 16 though. I mean, you should really not have to treat them like juveniles. This is more like you're gonna be treated like an adult situation because you threw something in private property at them inside the mall, and they were on the third floor throwing that down to the first floor. Um, yeah, they definitely should get a pretty good slap and some kind of penal fine. I don't know what's the word I'm trying to look for, but they should be some consequences.
I really think that Mizzy, that's the prankster I referenced earlier, is a great example for how, when you do actually finally give repercussions for this kind of shit, it's a beautiful deterrent that stops others from trying to emulate it, and it also helps that person to recognize how unacceptable it is, and they become better for it. So I know I've been yapping.
The thing is I partly agree with this. The thing is that, and I guess I may be a little jaded here, but there was a time, and Johnny Somali comes to mind. There's a lot of people out here who do malicious things for clout and infamy, and then like this guy here that I can't remember who he was, just Mitzi, was it? He was breaking in the houses, stealing people's pets, just being a menace. And then when he got, his punishment, he wanted to turn his life around. People are following him because they've heard his story. And again, call me jaded, but I hate the idea that people feel like they can, get this evil out of their system very publicly and get known for it, and then try to make that into a success of some kind of story to sell. And that I'm just coming to mind. There are a few different influencers or celebrities out there who, you could think of a couple guest stars of Dr. Phil or a couple of drama people on some reality shows. It's like, what are they known for? How did they get famous? But then they take that notoriety and fame and, you know, success starts to follow. So I don't know. Take it as it is. I again, I hope these kids learn a lesson. They've been caught. They've been arrested. We definitely can't be having this happen. Uh, that's just the case. And when you're doing something that can risk life, uh, in a violent way, there's definitely something. It's the same thing like if you were shooting a gun in the air. I gotta tell you, you're doing something that's risky. You gotta have to have some kind of punishment.
About this for a while, but it's just so fucking
Yep.
frustrating to see the dangerous kind of shit that continues to just escalate, it seems. So, they arrested them. Good. Now, don't just let it be a nothing burger. This needs to be a time to set an example that this kind of shit is not okay. Yes, it was extremely lucky and fortunate no one died in this, but who's to say that it won't lead to a death the next time they do some unhinged shit like
Yeah,
this? So, yeah, that's really about it. That's
that's
it.
about it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Wanted to watch something else here too. This has been on my mind. I've watched this video before. I've watched this video many times, and it's always worth watching. Um,
How the
during
economic machine works.
ah, slow down. Okay.
FanDuel Casino.
This damn player. I hate that they move the buttons around. Like, I don't
How
know
the
why they would design a player that way. All right. So, this is definitely worth a watch. I kid you not. How the economic machine works. I've been seeing a lot of uncertainty in the markets. Everyone's hearing about, tariffs going on, Trump tariffs, trade wars. We got stocks going down. People are saying now's the time to buy. People are saying now's the time to exit. Housing market's crazy. Are rates going up? Rates going down? Where's the inventory? What's going to happen? No one knows. Well, during that time, and during times where things are really good, I like to watch this video. Um, I've seen this video maybe 3 or 4 times now, and I encourage a lot of people to check this out and watch it more than once too, because there's more to take in on it. It's a really good way to understand how our economic machine works.
economic machine works in 30 minutes. The economy works like a simple machine, but many people don't understand it, or they don't agree on how it works.
That's
And
right.
this has led to a lot of needless economic suffering.
That's
I
exactly
feel a
right.
deep sense of responsibility to share my simple but practical economic template. Though it's unconventional, it has helped me to anticipate and to sidestep the global financial crisis, and it has worked well for me for over 30 years. Let's begin. Though the economy might seem complex, it works in a simple mechanical way. It's made
Corn,
up of a
oil,
few
steel. Look
simple
at those.
parts
Those
and a
are
lot of
good old
simple
American economy.
transactions that are repeated over and over again a zillion times. These transactions are above all else driven by human nature, and they create three main forces that drive the economy. Number
Yep.
one, productivity growth. Number two, the short-term debt cycle. And number three, the long-term debt cycle.
That's it, folks. Those are your measurements. This is how we figure out how are things going? How are things growing? How is our short-term debt working? And how is our long-term debt working? And that last one there, long-term debt. That's an easy one for a lot of people to forget. Now, I know I'm not that old. I'm in my 30s. But I am a millennial, and a lot of my millennial peers would agree. We've starting to see this roller coaster. We've starting to see this pony show. And I'll also say too, um, corrections, are needed. They're natural in our economy. This video is going to show and kind of talk about corrections. And there are many reasons what happens, but there's a lot of other things going on too. So let's just try to focus on some of the basics and learn something from that.
We'll look at these three forces and how laying them on top of each other creates a good template for tracking economic movements and figuring out what's happening now. Let's start with the simplest part of the economy, transactions. An economy is simply the sum of the transactions that make it up, and a transaction is a very simple thing. You make transactions all the time. Every time you buy something, you create a transaction. Each transaction consists of a buyer exchanging money or credit with a seller for goods, services, or financial assets.
That's right.
Credit spend.
That's you gonna go buy your chicken tendies, and you give your cash or your little debit card or credit card or your Cash App card or your V-Bucks, and you pay those to the cashier.
Just like money, so adding.
Now, a lot of people nowadays, here's a big red flag. We have a lot of Americans using credit to buy the unnecessary things.
Together the money spent and the amount of credit spent, you can know the total spending. The total amount of spending drives the economy. If you divide the amount spent by the quantity sold, you get the price. And that's it. That's a transaction.
Simple
it's the
math.
Building block of the economic machine. All cycles and all forces in an economy are driven by transactions. So, if we can understand transactions, we can understand the whole economy.
For an economy to work, there has to be an exchange. As simple as that. There has to be trade. Trade has to happen. Open the market.
All the buyers and all the sellers making transactions for the same thing. For example, there is a wheat market, a car market, a stock market, and markets for millions of things.
Everything has a market.
An economy consists of all of the transactions in all of its markets.
And think of it like this, guys. The demand for something and the price for something, that's the market for your items, whatever they may be. So, with the cost of inflation, the height of demand, people thought Beanie Babies was a good investment. It turned out it was Pokemon cards. You gotta see where things go, and what's some things are just gonna start having that intrinsic value.
You add up the total spending and the total quantity
And then
sold
other
in all
values
of the
out
markets,
there too.
you have everything you need to know to understand the economy. It's just that simple. People, businesses, banks, and governments all engage in transactions the way I just described, exchanging money and credit for goods, services, and financial assets. The biggest buyer and seller is the government, which consists of two important parts: a central government that collects taxes and spends money, and a central bank, which is different from other buyers and sellers because it controls the amount of money and credit in the economy. It does this by influencing interest rates and printing new money.
Yep, that's
For
right.
these reasons, as we'll see, the central bank is an important player in the flow of credit.
That's J Powell. Print some more money. Print some more money. Print.
I want you to pay attention to credit. Credit is the most important part of the economy and probably the least understood.
Ding, ding, ding. The most important part of the economy, the least understood. Let the man cook.
It's the most important part because it's the biggest and most volatile part. Just like buyers and sellers go to the market to make transactions, so do lenders and borrowers. Lenders usually want to make their money into more money.
The
and
house
borrowers
always
usually want
wins.
to buy something they can't afford, like a house or a car, or they want to invest in something like starting a
But
business.
there are tools.
Credit can help both lenders and borrowers get
Correct.
what they want. Borrowers promise to repay the amount they borrow, called principal, plus an additional amount, called interest. When interest rates are high, there is less borrowing because it's expensive.
I used to be a lender myself. So this is something that, he's speaking a lot of truth here. There, a lot of successful people, loans is how you can build wealth. The power of the dollar, you're multiplying it. I mean, and then this is another economy 101, check things out, but um it's interesting to find because I was a loan officer and I worked at a credit union for 10 years, and you find people of all ages and many different backgrounds and diversities and just not understand how finance works, simple finance, not rocket science, just managing debt, having budget, debt to income ratios, what unsecured debt ratios look like, how much unsecured debt should someone have, how does a credit card actually function and work, and how can you generate good data on a credit card report. Um, it's scary that there are people who've gotten loans and who've dealt with people in that business and industry and who they still don't, I don't know if they don't retain this information or if they haven't had these conversations. They're just going on through life. But uh, I was a bit of a contract stickler myself. Like if you're gonna sign something, we're gonna go over it. You're gonna make sure you're understanding what it is because it makes sense. But if you're not paying attention, it's going to look like foreign to you. And you can get got if you don't know what's going on in business. That's what it is. It's just business.
When interest rates are low, borrowing increases because it's cheaper. When borrowers promise to repay and lenders believe them, credit is created.
Loans are
Any
priced.
two people can agree to create credit out of thin air. That seems simple enough, but credit is tricky because it has different names. As soon as credit is created, it immediately turns into debt.
Yep.
Debt is both an asset to the lender and a liability to the borrower. In the future, when the borrower repays the loan plus interest, the asset and the liability disappear and the transaction is settled. So why is credit so important? Because
Here it
when
is,
a borrower
folks.
receives credit, he is able to increase his spending. And remember, spending drives the economy. This is because one person's spending is another person's income.
This is a good thing.
Think about it. Every dollar you spend, someone else earns, and every dollar you earn, someone else has spent. So when you spend more, someone else earns more. When someone's income rises, it makes lenders more willing to lend him money because now he's more worthy of credit. A credit-worthy borrower has two things: the ability to repay and collateral.
That's it, folks. I'm gonna tell you right now. People feel like sometimes you're getting treated funny when you're trying to pick out a car or you're trying to find a house or you're trying to get a loan. You feel like you're getting treated funny. Well, sometimes it's because your application is not up to snuff. You're not up to par, the standard. I mean, what's a subprime loan? Well, listen, if you've got a decent amount of credit, good credit history, you don't miss your payments, you're not opening up a bunch of accounts, you're managing and you're stable. That's good credit. You show an ability to repay. You have income coming in, steady income, it's recordable, and you got to also understand you're dealing with bookkeepers here. You can't come in and be like, here's my 1099 or here's a couple receipts or I'm working under the table. You know how easy you're going to get denied giving some kind of BS answer like that. Let's see cash flow, and let's see what your debt looks like. And if it's manageable and you've got good credit, shoot, especially if you got good credit, you're going to have their best salesperson, their best loan officers, their best service. How can we help you? How we want your business. Let's make sure your experience is the best. You walk in there, you have no collateral, you have missed payments, you had a bankruptcy in the past, something happened, and I'm gonna tell you, I don't want to sound too jaded here. Everyone's got a story. Everyone's got a story. We all have gone through our things. I've had my ups and downs and success. So, and believe me, I've taken those risks with people during interviews when I was a lender. But you're not making it easy when you're making mistakes that can be easily corrected. And when you're showing bad patterns and you have no collateral and you have bad credit, then guess what? You're not getting the best service. You're not getting top priority. Instead of getting the nice cars up front, they're going to take you to the back of a lot and they're going to show you the cars that are more run down, but they're going to charge you a lot for it. And your loan's going to be more expensive. And they're going to want to add on extra insurance and all this other stuff because you're risky. And doing business with you is risky. And a lot of people understand it's expensive to have bad credit. It's a bad loop to get out of. The further you fall into that hole, the taller the mountain is to climb back up as well. And I try to minimize those mistakes. Life is cruel. It's not my fault. It's just how the world works.
Having a lot of income in relation to his debt gives him the ability to repay. In the event that he can't repay, he has valuable assets to use as collateral that can be sold. This makes lenders feel comfortable lending him money. So increased income allows increased borrowing, which allows increased spending. And since one person's spending is another person's income, this leads to more increased borrowing, and so on. This self-reinforcing pattern leads to economic growth and is why we have cycles. In a transaction, you have to give something in order to get something, and how much you get depends on how much you produce. Over time, we learn, and that accumulated knowledge raises our living standards. We call this productivity growth. Those who are inventive and hardworking raise their productivity and their living standards faster than those who are complacent and lazy. But that isn't necessarily true over the short run. Productivity matters most in the long run, but credit matters most in the short run. This is because productivity growth doesn't fluctuate much. So
Credit allows you to spend money that you would have to earn in the future, and it's fast tracking that. And there are a lot of ways you could use that credit to make more success than what the interest cost. There's the trick right there. And sometimes that's the risk people have to take when you're taking out these kind of credits. Is it worth the interest over term, long term? But I also understand too, like with this productivity, everyone wants to just, you know, a lot of in the most kind of simple way of thinking, that, you do work, get your paycheck. I even used to think, hey, if I'm doing extra work at the job, if I'm the hardest worker and I'm making sure I'm on top of everything and all this, that, I'm gonna be successful. Well, in a lot of ways, yeah, you get some notice and stuff, but there's only so much success and some things you should realize, it's not always being sadly, and I hope it changes, but there are a lot of people out there who aren't the best at what they do, but they have found success because they have certain niches and skills. So, just you gotta find whatever your strengths are and lean on those.
it's not a big driver of economic swings. Debt is, because it allows us to consume more than we produce when we acquire it, and it forces us to consume less than we produce when we have to pay it back. Debt swings occur in two big cycles. One takes about 5 to 8 years, and the other takes about 75 to 100 years. While most people feel the swings, they typically don't see them as cycles because they see them too up close, day by day, week by week. In this chapter, we're going to step back and look at these three big forces and how they interact to make up our experiences. As mentioned, swings around the line are not due to how much innovation or hard work there is. They're primarily due to how much credit there is. Let's for a second imagine an economy without credit. In this economy, the only way I can increase...
Yes. All right. I love this example too because a lot of people have some biases about the banking system, and you know what? I agree. There's definitely been, loan sharking and abuse, corruption that exists, but banking itself and the idea of the finance and economy is something that has existed for so long. I mean, the Romans had financing. Greeks, right? They did loans and they had a form of credit, I believe. And it's a functionality of how the economy can work. And you know, without credit, life would be very hard.
My spending is to increase my income, which requires me to be more productive and do more work. Increased productivity is the only way for growth. Since my spending is another person's income, the economy grows every time I or anyone else is more productive. If we follow the transactions and play this out, we see a progression like the productivity growth line. But because we borrow, we have cycles. This isn't due to any laws or regulations, it's due to human nature and the way that credit works. Think of borrowing as simply a way of pulling spending forward. In order to buy something you can't afford, you need to spend more than
See
you
how
make.
that other one goes
To
down?
do this, you essentially need to borrow from your future self. In doing so, you create a time in the future that you need to spend less than you make in order to pay it back.
Now, do you think it's currently 2025, March? We've been in a lot of economic boom. And there's been a lot of talk how things are overinflated and things are overpriced in the stock market and things are, just kind of crazy. And it would make sense. We're due for a little correct. This here seems like does this seem a little familiar for some people? There's a lot of chaos going on in the world, and you're getting all the news about this and that and this, but there are things that we can start to anticipate that are just, they're going to come and go.
It very quickly resembles a cycle. Basically, anytime you borrow, you create a cycle. This is as true for an individual as it is for the economy. This is why understanding credit is so important, because it sets into motion a mechanical, predictable series of events that will happen in the future. This makes credit different from money. Money is what you settle transactions with. When you buy a beer from a bartender with cash, the transaction is settled immediately. But when you buy a beer with credit, it's like starting a bar tab. You're saying you promise to pay in the future. Together, you and the bartender create an asset and a liability. You just created credit
There you
out
go.
of thin air. It's not until you pay the bar tab later that the asset and the liability disappear, the debt goes away, and the transaction is settled.
You never want to mess up your bar tab credit score because I'm telling you, that's one of those things. The score is really tough to rebuild.
The reality is that most of what people call money is actually credit. The total amount of credit in the United States is about $50 trillion.
You see that little bit of
The total
green?
amount of money is only about $3 trillion. Remember,
Wow.
in an economy without credit, the only way to increase your spending is to produce more. But in an economy with credit, you can also increase your spending by borrowing. As a result, an economy with credit has more spending and allows incomes to rise faster than productivity over the short run,
Feels real good when you're living in these spots.
but not over the long run.
Woo! That's the let's make it or break it moment there.
Now, don't get me wrong. Credit isn't necessarily something bad that just causes cycles. It's bad when it finances overconsumption that can't be paid back. However, it's good when it efficiently allocates resources and produces income so you can pay
Efficient
back the
lending.
debt. For
Efficient
example,
debt.
if you borrow money to buy a big TV, it doesn't generate income for you to pay back the debt. But if you borrow money to, say, buy a tractor, and that tractor lets you harvest more crops and earn more money, then you can pay back your debt and improve your living standard.
Now, I get it. People need things, but um, you don't need the newest car out there. You don't need a loan to go on the cruise. I get you only, hey, what is it? They say YOLO, you only live once. Well, shoot, sometimes you gotta have to make a little sacrifice. So, yeah, this is how, at the beginning of the video, we're saying a lot of people just don't understand how credit works. And I've used credit for, you want to do a little bit of fun? Sure. Pay it off. Pay it off immediately.
In an economy with credit, we can follow the transactions and see how credit creates growth. Let me give you an example. Suppose you earn $100,000 a year and have no debt. You are creditworthy enough to borrow $10,000, say on a credit card.
10%.
So you can spend $110,000 even though you only earn $100,000. Since your spending is another person's income, someone is earning $110,000. The person earning $110,000 with no debt can borrow $11,000, so he can spend $121,000, even though he has only earned $110,000. His spending is another person's income, and by following the transactions, we can begin to see how this process works in a self-reinforcing pattern. But remember, borrowing creates cycles, and if the cycle goes up, it eventually needs to come down. This leads us into the short-term debt cycle. As economic activity increases, we see an expansion, the first phase of the short-term debt cycle. Spending continues to increase and prices start to rise. This happens because the increase in spending is fueled by credit, which can be created instantly out of thin air. When the amount of spending and incomes grow faster than the production of goods, prices rise. When prices rise, we call this inflation.
It's also, and he's using a very simple way where the spending is coming faster than the quantity. Well, we're also seeing inventory issues, demand shock, supply shock, I should say, supply shock, um, and that causes inflation too. We've had a lot of things that pushed our inflation. Spending, the world stopped during COVID. It's crazy. And I agree that we're going to see cycles nonetheless. COVID or not, you were going to see cycles. It's funny because I remember in high school and even in a little bit of college, like in textbooks, they would talk about the 1920s, 100 years ago, how we had a credit boom. People were getting credit. Everything was on credit. And then, what happened in the 30s? Well, we had the Great Depression. So I'm not saying that's what's going to happen again, but you see that he's saying a 75 to 100-year cycle, along with short-term cycles, which you're going to get short-term cycles, which is nothing crazy. If you ever want to see like if we're really in like deep red, just zoom really out on a chart or something, or you know, you gotta look at time frame kind of further out sometimes to really see a bigger pattern. And inflation is doing this, and this. There's eventually gonna have to be a rug pull on that. I mean, I just don't know when, and we have sophisticated some of these tools. I don't know if it's for the better of the common person like myself and you guys, but um, I don't expect that it's going to be too bad, but no one really knows.
The
And it's
central bank
temporary.
doesn't want too much inflation because it causes problems. Seeing prices rise, it raises interest rates. With higher interest rates, fewer people can afford to borrow money, and the cost of existing debts rises. Think about this as the monthly payments on your credit card going up. Because people borrow less and have higher debt repayments, they have less money left over to spend. So spending slows. And since one person's spending is another person's income, incomes drop. And so on and so forth.
Now this is a
When
recession.
people spend less, prices go down. We call this deflation. Economic activity decreases, and we
The sad thing is, here's my one argument with this. You don't see a lot of deflation. You'll see deflation in stocks. Stocks prices go up and down. That's normal. You'll see that in crypto, definitely. That's very volatile. Um, the housing market, yeah, maybe you see some corrections. But we're talking like commodity goods, the cost of some, luxury items, vehicles. I The sad thing is I don't know how much deflation you're going to see once these tariff increases hit, inflation hit, the scaredness, of inventory. We're gonna raise these prices up. There's a lot of fear. Our price is gonna go back down, and I want to say based on the video and based on simple logic, yes, there should be some deflation, some correction of prices. But we've seen some of these big corporations try to push the envelope of what they can get away with and try to justify it for the sake of their investors and staying afloat. When, I mean, heck, they're bringing in buku bucks. Buku buck for a top executive line that, I mean, yeah.
have a recession. If the recession becomes too severe and inflation is no longer a problem, the central bank will lower interest rates to cause everything to pick up again. With low interest rates, debt repayments are reduced and borrowing and spending pick up, and we see another expansion. As you can see, the economy works like a machine. In the short-term debt cycle, spending is constrained only by the willingness of lenders and borrowers to provide and receive credit. When credit is easily available, there's an economic expansion. When credit
Naturally.
isn't easily available, there's a recession. And note that this cycle is controlled primarily by the central bank. The short-term debt cycle typically lasts 5 to 8 years and happens over and over again for decades. But notice that the bottom and top of each cycle finish with more growth than the previous cycle and with more debt. Why? Because people push it.
That's it right there. People push it. Yeah, it's a natural thing. Grow, 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 grow until someone has to clear the table. The debt's too much.
They have an inclination to borrow and spend more instead of paying back debt. It's human nature. Because of this, over long periods of time, debts rise faster than incomes, creating the long-term debt cycle. Despite people becoming more indebted, lenders even more freely extend credit. Why? Because everyone thinks things are going great. People are just focused on what's been happening lately. And what's been happening lately? Incomes have been rising. Asset values
Yeah,
are going up.
it feels
The
good.
stock market roars. It's a boom. It pays to buy goods, services, and financial assets
So much winning.
with borrowed money. When people do a lot of that, we call it a bubble.
Let's say coming out of the recession, definitely during like 2016 and on, like boom, boom, boom. I mean, money was being printed, credit was being given, cash was just being spent like it was nothing. And I would say it was on both sides. Let's be honest. it was during Trump's presidency, it was during Biden's presidency. Spend, spend, spend. So it's kind of curious to see what's going to happen with this term here because there's a lot on the cutting block.
So even though debts have been growing, incomes have been growing nearly as fast to offset them. Let's call the ratio of debt to income the debt burden. So long as incomes continue to rise, the debt burden stays manageable. At the same time, asset values soar. People borrow huge amounts of money to buy assets as investments, causing their prices to rise even higher. People feel wealthy. So even with the accumulation of lots of debt, rising incomes and asset values help borrowers remain creditworthy for a long time.
Yes.
But this obviously cannot continue forever. And it doesn't. Over decades, debt burdens slowly increase, creating larger and larger debt repayments. At some point, debt repayments start growing faster than incomes, forcing people to cut back on their spending. And since one person's spending is another person's income, incomes begin to go down.
Yes. The moment everyone starts holding back and afraid to spend their money, everyone starts to feel it. And businesses don't need to start hiring people and holding people's jobs. And things, growth and everything stops, obviously. Um, it's interesting to think how, you know, the credit, and again, is the most important part of the economy. It's utilized in a way where we are able to keep our safe stable. And I am all for, getting rid of waste, cutting debt. And I think that's the idea with our administration now is getting rid of a lot of debt to maybe even cushion the blow of like what is to come because we have so much debt we're dealing with right now. But what's scary is we're talking about trade and supply chains and making sure those supply chains work and or have some kind of fallback. I mean, you can't just wipe off the table and have nothing there to fill the vacuum because there could be a lot of fraud coming on. And I guess the big thing that I'm curious about is how I can understand with these tariffs trying to incentivize manufacturing and bringing jobs here, but what kind of plans are there in terms of how long is that going to take? How much pressure is going to be put on the U.S. consumer to get there? And are these supply chain substitutes going to be sufficient enough? Our infrastructure is, whew, that's a scary thing. You go across, and I love my country, but man, there are a lot of areas that need some love. That's just the honest truth. Our infrastructure is getting a little scary.
Which makes people less creditworthy, causing borrowing to go down. Debt repayments continue to rise, which makes spending drop even further. And the cycle reverses itself. This is the long-term debt peak. Debt burdens have simply become too big. For the United States, Europe, and much of the rest of the world, this happened
Wow,
in
look at that.
2008. It happened for the same reason it happened in Japan in 1989 and in the United States back in 1929. Now,
Almost 100 years ago, we're in 25 right now.
the economy begins deleveraging. In a deleveraging, people cut spending, incomes fall, credit disappears, asset prices drop, banks get squeezed, the stock market crashes, social tensions rise, and the whole thing starts to feed on itself the other way. As incomes fall and debt repayments rise, borrowers get squeezed. No longer creditworthy, credit dries up, and borrowers can no longer borrow enough money to make their debt repayments. Scrambling to fill this hole, borrowers are forced to sell assets. The rush to sell assets floods the market at the same time as spending falls. This is when the stock market collapses, the real estate market tanks, and banks get into trouble. As asset prices drop, the value of the collateral borrowers can put up drops. This makes borrowers even less creditworthy. People feel poor. Credit rapidly disappears. Less spending, less income, less wealth, less credit, less borrowing, and so on. It's a vicious cycle. This appears similar to a recession, but the difference here is that interest rates can't be lowered to save the day. In a recession, lowering interest rates works to stimulate borrowing.
Yep.
However, in a deleveraging, lowering interest rates doesn't work because interest rates are already low and soon hit 0%. So the stimulation ends. Interest rates in the United States hit 0% during the deleveraging of the 1930s and again in 2008.
We may see this again. I mean, interest rates are still pretty high. And I mean, they're not that high. I mean, you see this chart here, and in the 80s, interest rates were above 15%. And if you got a house as single digit, I mean, you would be dancing. You'd be dancing in the street. You know, you got a great deal. Um, so we have an economy right now where, shoot, I don't know, 6.5, 7.5%, give or take, depending on score and risk that we're looking at. But that that's not terrible in terms of history, but that's expensive, especially like, you know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I got very, very lucky and fortunate we bought this house just right before interest rates were going crazy, and we locked in 3% flat. Guess what that means? I'm here for a while. I'm not going anywhere.
The difference between a recession and a deleveraging is that in a deleveraging, borrowers' debt burdens have simply gotten too big and can't be relieved by lowering interest rates. Lenders realize that debts have become too large to ever be fully paid back. Borrowers have lost their ability to repay and their collateral has lost value. They feel crippled by the debt. They don't even want more. Lenders stop lending, borrowers stop borrowing. Think of the economy as being not creditworthy, just like an individual. So what do you do about a deleveraging? The problem is debt burdens are too high and they must come down.
What's the solution?
There are 4 ways this can happen. 1, people, businesses, and governments cut their spending.
We're seeing that right now.
2, debts are reduced through defaults and restructurings.
This may be another piece of the puzzle. And default, think of another word as bankruptcies, unable to pay, failure to pay, businesses just unable to, or people unable to keep their obligation. Default's another. Foreclosures. Hey, there were a lot of people who thought that I'm going to buy a house, Trump's going to take in, my property value is going to go up. Is it? Are you going to be forced to foreclose? Now, this is not pro Trump or negative Trump. It's just the cycles, right? So people do things on emotion and make decisions on emotion or headline news. And sometimes there's just a bigger picture to look at.
3, wealth is redistributed from the haves to the have-nots. And finally, 4, the central bank prints new money. These 4 ways have happened in every...
You're going to see all of this too. These 4 ways have happened in every deleveraging in modern history. And it buckle up, guys, because it's come due. We're going to cut our spending like crazy. I think also a reduced debt is not bound to happen. And there are people out there living on a massive, massive amount of debt. So managing that is definitely something that people need to learn about. There's going to be a redistribution of wealth. I'm going to get back to that in just a second. But the government's going to print money because money needs to be spent. And the government has to spend money to make things happen. and make sure that the economy keeps moving, despite what people think about, oh, we're inflating the economy is not fake because the government's lifting it up. Well, I'm not saying blow it up, pump it up, but we got to make sure that there are certain um, trades and pathways that we can work and function and infrastructure. We got to be able to make productivity happen. And I think that's a big responsibility of our government to make sure that we can function that way and make some kind of sustainability um, for everybody. Now, the redistribution of wealth. I was watching another content creator. He's a finance guy, and I'm going off of memory here. Forgive me if I'm wrong. I think it's Minority Mindset. The guy is cool. Check him out if you can find him. He's a bit of I don't know if he's a financial advisor. He doesn't give financial advice on his channel, of course, but he was talking about what's going on right now with these tariffs and how it can lead to opportunity. And he had a method. I don't. I'm going to use it. I just want to tell you where I got it from. It's called poop, and that's the poop tactic is or strategy is panic leads to overselling, leads to opportunity, leads to profit. And really, what that redistribution of wealth is, you're going to have people with debt needing to unload off that debt because they can't pay, and they're going to be selling at discounts. You're talking about houses, you're talking about stocks, you're talking about all different kind of assets. People, and here's the thing, I understand, but if you can get access to capital now before it gets harder to lend, or if you can get a savings of some kind and wait for opportunity, opportunity will present itself during these times. And I'll tell you, during these times, um, there is wealth and success that can come from this if people are smart and keeping their ears to the ground. Now, I am by no means a guru, and I am by no means a very smart individual, but I like to try to educate myself the best way I can and be aware of these things. Um, I've seen myself make a good amount of money in the stock market, and I've also seen myself lose a lot of money in the stock market. So by no means do I have all the answers. And anyone that you're watching on the internet, no one can predict the future. Um, I think it's best that we learn from the things that have happened in our past, spot some patterns, learn from mistakes, and just be prepared best we can. Be ready for opportunity and don't panic. No matter what happens, don't panic. We keep a level head, folks. We keep a level head.
Deleveraging in modern history. Usually, spending is cut first. As we just saw, people, businesses, and even governments tighten their belts and cut their spending so that they can pay down their debt. This is often referred to as austerity. When borrowers stop taking on new debts and start paying down old debts, you might expect the debt burden to decrease. But the opposite happens. Because spending is cut, and one man's spending is another man's income, it causes incomes to fall. They fall faster than debts are repaid, and the debt burden actually gets worse. As we've seen, this cut in spending is deflationary and painful. Businesses are forced to cut costs,
Don't feel
which
good.
means less jobs and higher unemployment. This leads to the next step. Debts must be reduced. Many borrowers find themselves unable to repay their loans, and a borrower's debts are a lender's assets. When a borrower doesn't repay the bank, people get nervous that the bank won't be able to repay them, so they rush to withdraw their money from the bank.
And we saw this during 2008, during the housing market crash. You would have, Joe Schmo who, makes $50,000 a year, and you find out, oh, he's got 5 to 6 rental properties that he's got, and turns out that all his rentals that were making him money, well, they're starting to lose jobs, they're starting to lose vacancy. He doesn't, he can't make money off of those debts. He's got 5, 6 foreclosures happening. People buying houses and inventory not happening. The construction companies not being able to produce these homes. Suddenly the money's starting to run out. People pulling money out of the investments because of panic. It kind of all happens like a hurricane from all directions. Money starts to leave the market, and people can get caught with their pants down. And believe me, this is another point. He said it earlier. People tend to push it. They're going to push the envelope.
Banks get squeezed, and people, businesses, and banks default on their debts. This severe economic
Even banks
contraction
push it.
is a depression. A big part of a depression is people discovering much of what they thought was their wealth isn't really there. Let's go back to the bar.
And you're having a lot of people on Twitter saying that right now, that the wealth is not there. What did Trump just say? We're going to go to Fort Knox and make sure the gold's all there.
When you bought a beer and put it on a bar tab, you promised to repay the bartender. Your promise became an asset of the bartender. But if you break your promise, if you don't pay him back and essentially default on your bar tab,
He breaks your
then the
kneecaps.
asset he has isn't really worth anything. It has basically disappeared. Many lenders don't want their assets to disappear and agree to debt restructuring. Debt restructuring means lenders get paid back less, or get paid back over a longer time frame, or at a lower interest rate than was first agreed. Somehow, a contract is broken in a way that reduces debt. Lenders would rather have a little of something than all of nothing. Even though debt disappears, debt restructuring causes income and asset values to disappear faster, so the debt burden continues to get worse. Like cutting spending, debt reduction is also painful and deflationary. All of this impacts the central government because lower incomes and less employment means the government collects fewer taxes. At the same time, it needs to increase its spending because unemployment has risen. Many of the unemployed have inadequate savings and need financial support from the government. Additionally, governments create stimulus plans and increase their spending to make up for the decrease in the economy.
There's a good argument that a lot of these type of spendings need to start getting looked at and cut.
Government's budget deficits explode in a deleveraging because they spend more than they earn in taxes. This is what's happening when you hear about the budget deficit on the news. To fund their deficits, governments need to either raise taxes.
So it's interesting how, I mean, just off the video, we're showing what central government, how the cash flow is working. Taxpayer money's coming in, it's going for goods and services, unemployed. This is the simplicity of it. I get this is a really messy conversation politically where you're talking about how much tax is getting taken from these people, the taxpayers. Where is that money going? Where's the abuse? Where's the corruption? Where's all it going? And I agree. We should be efficient. We should know where our money's going. We should make sure our taxes are being utilized. There was a time where taxes, and maybe I was brainwashed in the public education. I don't know, but back in my civics classes, my social studies, even in elementary, I remember taxes were almost taught as patriotic, and I get it. No one likes paying taxes. It's money getting taken out of your income, but it was meant to like go towards the goods and services of the collective good, and I can understand that, but at the same time, there's an abuse here. Where is our money going? What has it been spent to? What have our interests have gone to? And I don't like these omni bills that come through. These omnibus bills where you're getting, here's a law that got passed and it's, this big, and we read it overnight. So what's being done in the back rooms of agreements? Um, I think that's why a lot of people nowadays have trouble trusting the system because there's just so much junk in there.
Or borrow money. But with incomes falling and so many unemployed, who is the money going to come from? The rich. Since governments need more money and since wealth is heavily concentrated in the hands of a small percentage of the people, governments naturally raise taxes on the wealthy, which facilitates a redistribution of wealth in the economy from the haves to the have-nots. The have-nots who are suffering begin to resent the wealthy haves.
100 years ago, we had Rockefeller and Ford. Now, in our modern age, we have Musk, Zuckerberg. I'll throw Bezos in there too. I mean, the world has been run by people with influence and power, and that's, you know, freedoms as it may be as the common American and citizen, and even freedoms as people in other countries. Because I mean, come on, I know everyone can say, well, oh, as an American, we have freedom, but I mean, Japan has freedom, Mexico has freedom, Canada has freedom. Different flavors of it, yeah, sure, but um, power, cash, money is the real freedom.
The wealthy haves being squeezed by the weak economy, falling asset prices,
Look at
and
him
higher
hold and
taxes
clutch onto his
begin to resent
pearls.
the have-nots.
Who wouldn't,
If the
though?
depression continues, social disorder can break out. Not only do tensions rise within countries, they can rise between countries, especially debtor and creditor countries. This situation can lead to political change that can sometimes be extreme. In the 1930s, this led to Hitler coming to power, war in Europe, and depression in the United States. Pressure to do something to end the depression increases. Remember, most of what people thought was money was actually credit.
War
So
doesn't
when
have to
credit
be in
disappears,
cycles, guys.
people don't have enough money. People are desperate for money, and you remember who can print money? The central bank can. Having already lowered its interest rates to nearly zero, it's forced to print money.
Isn't it kind of scary though, and like very, very simple vision, observation? 100 years ago, we let our credit boom and our economy go crazy, massive spending, and then we overdid it. Some global turbulence, some extreme ideologies, um, extreme positions, different than, I say controversial than what's the norm. And what else where I'm going with here? I mean, you're talking about not only the boom of inflation and credit, or not inflation, but the boom of credit and spending and debt. 30s, we're not in the 30s yet in 2030, but I don't want to have a repeat of what happened 100 years ago. That's for sure.
Unlike cutting spending,
Especially with war. That's the other thing. I mean, you're getting a lot of countries right now just showing some unrest, and there's some tension.
reduction, and wealth redistribution, printing money is inflationary and stimulative. Inevitably, the central bank prints new money out of thin air and uses it to buy financial assets and government bonds. It happened in the United States during the Great Depression, and again in 2008 when the United States Central Bank, the Federal Reserve,
There's a
printed
pattern.
over $2 trillion. Other central banks around the world that could printed a lot of money too. By buying financial assets with this money, it helps drive up asset prices, which makes people more creditworthy. However, this only helps those who own financial assets. You see, the central bank can print money, but it can only buy financial assets. The central government, on the other hand, can buy goods and services and put money in the hands of the people, but it can't print money. So in order to stimulate the economy, the two must cooperate.
There's the difference. There's your difference right there. Central the central bank can print the money. The central government really does a lot of its spending.
Buying government bonds, the central bank essentially lends money to the government, allowing it to run a deficit and increase spending on goods and services through its stimulus programs and unemployment benefits. This increases people's income as well as the government's debt. However, it will lower the economy's total debt burden. This is a very risky time. Policymakers need to balance the four ways that debt burdens come down. The deflationary ways need to balance with the inflationary ways in order to maintain stability.
Now the trick is economists have been, and the goal, I would say, with people, or the goal should be, how do we reduce these highs and lows to a more steady, controllable, and manageable um, practice or cycle, I should say, how a more gentle cycle. How can we reduce? Because I can't see how we cannot have cycles. It's just how can we prevent the great inflation depression cycles, the great blow boom and crash, and kind of squeeze it down where it's more stable. And I don't know if we can do that because remember, people will push it.
If balanced correctly, there can be a beautiful deleveraging.
A soft
You
landing,
see, a
right?
deleveraging can be ugly or it can be beautiful. How can a deleveraging be beautiful?
That's something I think Trump would say. It's gonna be beautiful. The next depression.
Even though a deleveraging is a difficult situation, handling a difficult situation in the best possible way is beautiful.
There's
A lot
opportunities.
more beautiful than the debt-fueled, unbalanced excesses of the leveraging phase. In a beautiful deleveraging, debts decline relative to income, real economic growth is positive, and inflation isn't a problem. It is achieved by having the right balance. The right balance requires a certain mix of cutting spending, reducing debt, transferring wealth, and printing money so that economic and social stability can be maintained. People ask if printing money will raise inflation. It won't if it offsets falling credit. Remember, spending is what matters. A dollar of spending paid for with money has the same effect on price as a dollar of spending paid for with credit.
That's where I think a lot of people get caught up. You know, a lot of people are like, "Oh, the debt, the debt, the debt, the debt." Well, hold on. Let's talk about our productivity and our flow because our economy is based on our growth. Everything's based on growth. It's a little scary to think everything's based on never-ending growth, but nonetheless, as long as we can keep the machine running, things are going to continue to get paid. Now, that's again a very, very, very simple way to summarize a very complicated situation. But I want you guys to start trying to think a little bit outside the box about when you hear debt. You know, is debt bad? That doesn't necessarily always have to be a bad thing.
By printing money, the central bank can make up for the disappearance of credit with an increase in the amount of money. In order to turn things around, the central bank needs to not only pump up income growth, but get the rate of income growth higher than the rate of interest on the accumulated debt. So what do I mean by that? Basically, income needs to grow faster than debt grows. For example, let's assume that a country going through a deleveraging has a debt-to-income ratio of 100%. That means that the amount of debt it has is the same as the amount of income the entire country makes in a year.
Simple starting
Now
point.
think about the interest rate on that debt. Let's say it's 2%. If debt is growing at 2% because of that interest rate, and income is only growing at around 1%, you will never reduce the debt burden.
Now you're in trouble. You can't pay off your debt because it's growing faster. And I think that's what we've been experiencing is we're making more debt than we can accumulate wealth as a country. And I guess, I mean, there are successful Americans. Americans are making wealth. There are a very good select few who are making very, very good money, and people who can. Um, but I guess that's in terms of our government. Um, I don't know if our government's making really good money, and they want to make money off of taxpayers, right? I don't know if I feel good about that either. That's not really a good feeling. So yeah, we got to cut the spending. We got to cut the debt too. We got to get, we got to cut the waste.
You need to print enough money to get the rate of income growth above the rate of interest. However, printing money could easily be abused because it's so easy to do and people prefer it to the alternatives. The key is to avoid printing too much money
Jay Powell, I'm looking at you.
and causing unacceptably high inflation the way Germany did during its deleveraging in the 1920s. If policymakers achieve the right balance, a deleveraging isn't so dramatic. Growth is slow, but debt burdens go down. That's a beautiful deleveraging. When incomes begin to rise, borrowers begin to appear more creditworthy. And when borrowers appear more creditworthy, lenders begin to lend money again. Debt burdens finally begin to fall. Able to borrow money, people can spend more. Eventually, the economy begins to grow again, leading to the reflation phase of the long-term debt cycle. Though the deleveraging process can be horrible if handled badly, if handled well, it will eventually fix the problem. It takes roughly a decade or more for debt burdens to fall and economic activity to get back to normal, hence the term lost decade.
If, and it's a big if, that were to happen, my 40s are not going to be very fun.
In closing,
We'll see.
of course, the economy is a little bit more complicated than this
I'm
template
pretty
suggests.
optimistic
However,
myself.
laying the short-term debt cycle on top of the long-term debt cycle, and then laying both of them on top of the productivity growth line, gives a reasonably good template for seeing where we've been, where we are now, and where we're probably headed. So, in summary, there are 3 rules of thumb that I'd like you to take away from this. First, don't have debt rise faster than income, because your debt burdens will eventually crush you. Second, don't have income rise faster than productivity, because you'll eventually become uncompetitive. And third, do all that you can to raise your productivity, because in the long run, that's what matters most. This is simple advice for you, and it's simple advice for policymakers. You might be surprised, but most people, including most policymakers, don't pay enough attention to this. This template has worked for me, and I hope it will work for you.
This is how the economy works. Um, I enjoy this video, like I said. Check it out. It's definitely worth watching. Um, I hope you enjoyed my commentary on it. Make sure that you are following the Twitch channel. Like and subscribe on YouTube. This was quite educational, and me watching it again, it's just good to touch base on what's going on. You can really relate to a lot, even short term or even long term. And I would like to also just say, because I've mentioned a couple times, we seem to be due for some downturn or some corrections. The correction is a much more subtle and graceful way of saying downturn, but I think a correction would be due. But I am optimistic that I think that um, despite who would have been in charge, and I agree, things would have been very different either way, who's in charge, which way we go. But I think there are some things we were going to have to face nonetheless. And I think our central bank and our central governments have gotten some tools to understand a little bit better at how we, might be able to cushion some of these blows. And maybe I'm being more optimistic and I'm being more generous than I should on this. But um, this would not be the first time We've gone through something like this. I'm not very smart in terms of finance, and I know there are a lot of other people smarter than me who are dedicate their lives to this kind of stuff. And part of me would think that we can figure out how we can get better at these cycles. And I'm optimistic that yeah, we this won't be nothing like 100 years ago, but there's definitely some things that may happen. And as I was saying earlier, panic and overselling leads to opportunity, which can lead to the profit. And I mean that. That's kind of what my plan is. I'm not giving any advice, but I'm going to try to keep my eyes and ears open for opportunity out there. If there's any good deals, any good prices, well, shoot, maybe I can find a good way to make some profit. So I hope you guys can do the same. Educate yourselves out there. Don't panic. Don't let the news steer you guys. Don't make decisions on emotion, and you know, do try to educate yourself in the financial world. It'll save you guys a lot of headache. Okay. That was a good little video there, but man, I've been streaming for an hour and a half. I've been sitting in the chair. I'm gonna take a quick little break, and I'm going to get me something to drink, kind of stretch my legs out a little bit, and get ready for some games. We got a game a little bit tonight. I definitely need to blow off some steam. It's been a long week. It's been a good week though. Um, Sun's out. Things are getting really nice in terms of weather. Now that we're like hitting 50 degrees where I'm at, like that's start of spring. The snow has melted. Kids are out playing all the time. As soon as they get home from daycare and school, it's like we're outside. That's gonna how it's gonna be this spring and summer. My oldest just got rid of the training wheels. I'm very proud of her. But now we're gonna do a lot of bike riding. I'll be right back.
What does your video say?
All right, I'm
Go
back.
to
I'm back. Welcome, welcome. I'm Neuro Des. Make sure that you like and subscribe. You're following on Twitch. We just got done watching a couple videos. We are now switching over. It is time. It's time to explore. Get back into our expedition here. See what's going on in space. I might play a little bit of Cyberpunk later. I don't know. I just got the Ninja Turtles downloaded. That's fun. I haven't played Zelda either on the Switch in a while, so a couple things we can do. Episode 3 of Titan. All right. How's that coming in? Let me know. I just got done watching How the Economy Works, and that was a good one. That was a good like 30-minute video, and with my commentary on it, I don't know, maybe like a good hour. You know, didn't really watch anything funny today. Watching Charlie earlier. Some kids threw some furniture off a balcony in the mall, almost killed somebody. Luckily they didn't. Didn't hit anyone, but it could have. How are we doing today, by the way? Sounds good? Good. Everything look good? Yeah, we're gonna do this. I don't have enough for that, so let's go here. Yeah, I was just watching how the economy works and explaining how, you know, if we get into the next depression, it was bound to happen. But doing well? Good, good. Everything looks good. I'm glad. I was explaining the poop tactic. You know, panic leads to overselling, leads to opportunity, leads to profit. So, telling people not to panic. Okay, rendezvous. Hold on a second. We need some of these. It's possible that I would just say car insurance and insurance is just gonna be going up. There's an argument that insurance is, you know, insurance too goes in cycles, and insurance rates typically are rating in a lag. So you'll see like insurance rates right now are based on pretty much a last year's economy, or even like 2 years economy ago. Companies make adjustments in pricing for that very reason. Lenders do it too. Loans change in price, insurance rates change in price. The scary thing is is it gonna go back down? I don't know if it's gonna ever go back down. I would expect to, with price and demand, but you know, I don't have a crystal ball. For the time being, I expect insurance rates to continue to increase. Listen, if you want to know if insurance is going to increase, ask yourself, are car prices going to increase? If you want to ask about house insurance, is house prices going to increase? You know, everyone wants to talk about insurance is getting so expensive. Well, ask people, what has your house value done in the past 3 years? I've talked to someone who bought a house for 30K, you know, 10, 15 years ago, and they come and tell me that it's worth over 100K now. What do you think your insurance is going to do? I mean, that's just the simple math of it. Need to get there. Do I have the ability to make fuel? No. I need copper. Alright, let's find some copper. Right here. Roofing's gone up? Yeah. Aluminum's gonna go up and steel with these tariffs. I think they put a pause on it, but I still think they're going up. You gotta think too. With these tariffs causing panic, even if the tariffs don't happen, businesses are going to try to account for it or be ahead of it, and that can mess up with some stuff. You know, that can mess us up. You don't want a business to be like, oh well, we're raising prices, or we're getting a bunch of stock, buying things. Stocking is an inventory. I don't think it was very smart to park that up there. That's okay. What kind of fuel do I have? Oh yeah, we'll be fine. I can call it. Look at the flying worms. Oh, that's very cool. I need to get copper now. Let's see if I can find some up here. Silver. Copper. Yeah, I think a lot of businesses may be milking it, you know. Businesses are in to make a profit. That's what all businesses are in for. And, you just got to know how to play the game. In any type of business, still, you're gonna find winners and losers. That's the same thing with this. If we see some downturn, just try to keep your eyes out for opportunity. People will sell things on the low. And is that a different type of worm? Yeah. Got two different kind of worms on this planet. There's some freaking copper. Finally, I can see it. Right there in the top of the mountain. Right there. Alright. Let's get... Come on, I can induce an egg already? Heck yeah. Let me take that egg. Good job. Let's go. Where'd the mountain go? Where'd the mountain go? There's the mountain. I love these new trees. So pretty to look at. Like they've really done well putting in life on these planets. Oh, whoa, there's a big gap in the mountain. Look at that. What caused this? This looks like a river of some kind. Like a Kamehameha just went through. Alright. Let's do this. Make a little platform. Oh, not restore mine. There we go. That's how you do it. What planet to move to? There's so many to choose from, man. There's a lot of good planets on this game. This one actually seems kind of nice. I haven't checked the weather on this planet. But anything overgrown is kind of cool to start with. You got a lot of nice clouds. The rings here are cool. Let's see, what is this? Temperate weather. Rare resources. Regular patrol sentinels. That's the one problem. They leave me alone, it's fine. But I don't need these drones policing me. Get a little closer. See how I can do this. Ah! Stairway to heaven. And the reason why I do it like this is you can mine a lot faster at a bird's eye view than being down there trying to angle it. Look at this, I could just... Don't want to make you guys get a little sick doing that though. Gotta get that nice copper. Copper, copper, copper. They should make it where you can go into like structures, like the alien structures, and take the copper from their pipes. Be like a pirate run. Am I letting the city kid in me out a little bit too much? Copper, copper, copper. Alright, here we go. Look at that. We got the nip nip. Let's start growing some of that. That there's good money. Look at one nip nip. 17,000 units. You could sell it for more in some places. High demand. Gotta get that. Gotta get that. Let's get retarded. Copper right in there. Boom. What else we got? What is that? DF settlement? This is a really nice place. Can I build me a little car? Need plating, iron battery. Can I make that? Can I? What do I need? Cobalt. I need to find a cave. There should be one nearby. Where's my butterfly? Let's ride. Hold on a second here. As I'm coasting, I'm gonna put on a little something. Alright, so we need to get some things going on here. Let's actually get some missions down. We gotta reach this rendezvous. We gotta install the aquajets. I can't get to the rendezvous until we get some fuel. So let's make some fuel. We're gonna need antimatter. 4. Oh, I can't make 4 because I need condensed carbon. Make. Half of that in there. Only 20 seconds. That's not gonna take long. Look at the grass. It's like these are just beautiful planets. Ow! What bit me? Something bit me, Charlie. Uh-oh. There's that drone. Checking things out. There's some more condensed carbon. I can always use that. So, anyways. Let's make 4 of these. And then let's make 4 of those. And what am I missing? Oxygen now? I can get oxygen from this thing. Oh, this robot leaves me alone. Well, he didn't like that. I can lose him. He's okay. Let's see if we can find a dinosaur or something. Ooh, what was that? Something just blasted in? There it is. Wow. That's a big one. Alright. Cobalt. That's the next thing we need to find. Where's my butterfly? So let's make, I know I don't have 4 of those things, but I can make 3. I can make these. Actually, these are way better. The hypercores. Okay, cobalt. We need to find a cave. Alright, let me know if you guys see a cave. I'll try and keep an eye. Sometimes you gotta like go to a settlement like this. There'll be a cave nearby. Oh, I didn't mean to jump off. Come back! Don't leave me! Okay, let's go. Fly fast. Not the best at multitasking, but I think I finally... Yeah. Yeah, let's do that. How that's not too loud, is it? Let's turn that down a little bit there. That's a little loud, so like that. I like that. That's better. Get some of these. Look at the doggy. Hi, doggy. Ooh. What's wrong with the face? It's got like a bug face. Knowledge paves the way to the understanding of probability. The Atlas spoke in fragments. The Atlas interfaces are their shadows. The monoliths are their scattered children. Together they convey the wisdom of the infinite, and they must be understood. Seek knowledge of the past. Find some treasure. We gotta find the booty. Look at poop. We gotta collect that to grow our weed plants. Our little nip nip. Let's pick up that there. Look at them moving in sync. Alright. Well, I can leave this planet if I want, but I would like some cobalt. I thought this would be more of like a settlement. Look at that crab! I already scanned one? Alright. Let's go on get. Ooh, there's a building. Is there a cave nearby? Yes, there is. What'd I tell you? Just had to find it. I'm gonna get the cobalt now. Put that in and refine that. Alright, so we are going to refine the metal. Rusted metal will turn into dust. While that's going, what is that? You hear that? Like it's like a bell or something. Oh, I think that's this. It was a little bit like iron pan, I don't know. It's not like a glass almost. Playing the glass. I don't mind. I actually enjoyed the No Man's Sky original soundtrack. But I do like to jam out, you know? I like to have some good beats. And Sonic's got great music. Ooh, four salvage data. Nice. Let's get that cobalt. Time to go into the cave. This isn't really a cave now, is it? Tell me there's more. Like, tell me there's more. I need like a real cave. Well, that's a bunch of caca. Go check out what's in the building. Oh, hey, you. What are you doing out here by yourself? As I approach the electronic life form, they instinctively start to analyze me from head to foot. They chitter animatedly, their head tilted to one side. I must be a novelty, something new on this planet of wonders. Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce any of that. I mime that I know a little of their kind of how they communicate. I will give them some dust. Mild disappointed because I just handed him a bunch of dust. Thank you for teaching me a word. I'm gonna use your machine here. Try and track something. Automated distress call. Oh. Okay. 1 to 2. 1 times 1 is 1, of course. But 1 times 2 is 2. 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. 4 times 5 is 120. 120 times 6 is 720. Found something. We found a camp. Guess I should check this really quick too. What we got in here? Nanites. Two and the nice. There's the cave. I found it. I knew there was a cave. I didn't doubt it for a minute. I wasn't just gonna leave and not go into the cave. Awesome. Cobalt! Oh, snap. Really? Just when things are getting good? Pirates! Armady! Come on, we gotta shoot these butt pirates. Oh my goodness! Oh my goodness! Let's go, let's go! Come on! Go, 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 go! You dare insult the son of the shepherd? Here we go. Come on, this big thing, move! What do I have? Rocket launcher and... Oh, I don't have nothing. And I'm going against 3 of these guys? I don't need nothing. I got the skill. This is where the fun begins. Check this out. They're going down. You lose. You don't want to go against me in a dogfight. Whoa, look out for the ground! Pull up! Wow! Here we go. Boom! Goodbye. Alright. Where was I? I gotta find the little building we were just at now. Look at all that. Sodium! Can't get distracted now, though. Dang, that's just lighting up. Is that the building? Whoa, 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 whoa. that the building? No. There. That's not it. I lost where I was at. But there's a cave, nonetheless. That's all that matters. There's a big cave. I do. I have the force. Ah! Let's hope there's no bears in here. You don't want to go against a space bear. Are they in here? It is. Quit looking at me. I'm not doing nothing. Back away. Still in there, huh? I'll have to blow that thing up if it keeps bothering me. Oh my goodness gracious. Leave me alone. Oh, great. Okay, hold on. We can fix this. We can fix this. Okay, we got a little bit of that. What else can we do? Can I eat my chocolate? Eat your chocolate. I ate my cookie. Let's get rid of the liver. We'll get rid of this little thing. We'll get rid of that. Alright. They can't get me down here anyways. They wouldn't know how to. Alright, I think I'm good on the cobalt now. I needed to make ion batteries, right? 4 of them? Then I needed to make 4 of these metal plating. And then what else did I need? The paraphernalia. Okay. Fly! Okay. I think there should be some paraphernalia on this planet. Just gotta find it. There. Paraffinium. Alright, off we go. This is the jam. I might turn this up a little bit. This is Angel Island. Look at that view. And coming in for landing. This is gonna be worth it. I'm gonna tell you right now. I only need 50. Ah, come on. Charge it up. Perfecto. Now, the creme de la creme. Oh, I'm missing a plating. There it is. Do a black base. Whoa, come back over here. There it is. The wheels. We got the whip. Alright, let's modify it. Not bad, not bad. Dark blue is kind of nice. Nah. Atlas. I think that works. Number 1. Alright, fire. We're gonna have. That looks pink. That doesn't look purple. We'll do blue. Blue and green. Now, it's time. Let's get in the Batmobile. Yeah, alright, let's do this. Alright, let's go. Where are we going? World's our oyster. Oh, look out for that! Oh, I just hit something! Oh my goodness! I think it's okay. It's fine. We won't look back. Alright. Ah! That's okay, we're good. All terrain. Come on. Don't Cybertruck on me. Let's get going. There we go. Nice. Am I stuck? Can't get through that. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. Drive around. Drive around. Come on, reverse. Go around the building. Yeah. Come on, you're clipping stuff. Let's go. This is driving music. We gotta drive fast. See if we can find any dinosaurs or something, right? Woo! I don't even have a destination in mind. Where are we going? Where's that treasure right there? How far is that? See that booty? 5 minutes. Let's go. We can beat that time. 5 minutes is a challenge. I can make it in 2. Ooh, found a catch. What do we got here? Put that in the car. We got some more storage, of course, in the car now. Start getting upgrades for this thing. Get a laser for it, a cannon. We got a shop too. Nice. This is why mobility is very important in the game. The black market terminal. All right. We're gonna do we're gonna buy the suspicious tech. We're gonna buy some suspicious arms. Oh, don't give me that crap. We're gonna sell some stuff. We're gonna sell this. Alright, what else we got? Polished stone. I don't need all that food stuff. Let's get 3 of these. Okay, now let's open them. That's the fun part. We don't know what we got. Suspicious package. Alright, so those opened up over here. We got, what? Analyze data, so those nanites. And we got this. So this is a shield booster. Let's put her right over here. There. Look at that resistance. Okay. Now that was tech. Let's look at the weapons right here. 1, 2, and 3. So we have the infrared knife. I don't have the base, but that'd be worth having in the starship. We got, what is this? East beam. That's another starship. And Cyclone. Okay, this is all starship upgrades. Nothing for myself. Okay, that's all right. My starship. Everything needs upgrades. We just found a big structure. All right. That's our next spot, right over there. What did we find? It's a castle. Look at that, it's just over the mountain. There it is. Whoa, bumpy ride. Someone really needs to take time to build a road here. We made it! Woo! Wow. I've seen these before, but it's just always nice to admire them. Ooh, look at that. That's a solar ship. Very nice. That is, that's a C rank. Ooh, I like this fighter. Toro of Fire. Hey, what's going on? What you got for me? Blueprints. How about components? What do you got? Oh, okay. So I could use some of those. That's not a bad deal. Could use some of these. Instead of just buying a bunch of stuff that I don't need, like, let's look. What can I upgrade? I need lubricant and microprocessing. Lubricant's gonna be the one that I gotta find. I can make that. And that. So yeah, that's what we're gonna do. I need a wiring loom. And those are on sale. Oh, he only had one, but 11% discount. Nice. Alright, watch this. I'm gonna show you how to make a good weapon. We're gonna take that dust that I have. 500 ferrite dust. Let's take half of it. Make pure. While that's running, let's check this map. Print out a chart. You can talk to these guys if you want. Like, hey, what's up, folks? Howdy doody, fellow travelers. Teach me a friendship symbol. Eewoo. Alright. Now, we're gonna go in here. I'm gonna take that pure ferrite. We're gonna put it right back in and make magnetized. See if I can learn anything else really quick. Some more words would help go to the computer. More dialect help. The word for help. Korvac symbol. Echoes. You don't need a lot, but you'll need some words to access these archives. It's intended for its own species. Ancient audio equipment drones in a low frequency, seeming expecting a voice. Helping in Korvac's language. Archive is a secure facility accessible only by a splinter sect of the Korvacs. Infiltration of Viking proposed in multiple convergent areas. Species resistance to attempts, but failure is a teacher. Violent reactions with moments of contact. The Vicent. It's like they were trying to take over this race. Born from old trauma, casualty established. Multiple progenitor species, 5 variants. Last survivors of family doomed to self-destruction. Perk. Now, it is the old pattern. Failure is a teacher, a wise teacher, as Master Yoda once said. Alright, now that I got the magnetized, go to the multi-tool and we install one of the best weapons in my opinion, the neutron cannon. This is like the best thing to fight. Now I once we get that upgraded, we can start really fighting. And then we get the plasma launcher, so I don't have another wiring loop. I get that seal. Ooh. Alrighty. Gonna get myself a chromatic seal. Nice. A lot of stuff on this planet. Okay. I wonder what that ship looks like. Stress beacon. We'll check that out really quick. Ships are a good way to make money. Sometimes they're worth fixing up. You know what's funny? I meant to do like a lot of stuff on the expedition, and I ended up just getting sidetracked again. Wondering how long I have until this expedition. I only think I have a couple weeks left. We could knock it out fast. I've completed many of them. And if anyone doesn't finish these expeditions in the beginning of the year, they bring them back during the holidays. That water? It is water. A little lake. Look at that. Got some crystals were sticking out too. Look at that. Got a donut. Shoot, where did I lose that distress signal? A little ADHD just kicked in. There it is. Right here in between some trees, hills. Ooh, it's ugly. It's like this with no wings. Hot dog.
If your laundry needs to
ads. Claim it. We'll take it for free. It's been abandoned. But it's not flyable, so we gotta get back to our other ship. Which is up here. We could sell that though. It's always worth selling. Okay, so I got the ship. Let us go. We have a rendezvous to get to. Whoa. You fool, you didn't fill the tank. There we go. Let's see what we're getting into. Ooh, purple sky. Super critical. Look at that one. Icy. Destined detected. We could get an interceptor there, likely. Where am I going? Okay. Go to the icy one. Base. No, I need to get to the rendezvous point. There. Come on, video. Might have to go without it then. Looks like there's people here. There's a group. Bunch of travelers. Here we go. Aquatic. Oh, I don't know if I'll be able to land here. This is a water world. I need those aqua jets. I need 2 more magnetic resonators. I could have bought those, couldn't I? Can I make one? Ionized cobalt. I think I can make that. Come on, think fast. Yes, I can make it. Sure. Let's put this in here somewhere. That doesn't even make sense to put that in there yet. And the phase beam, I could just sell that. This is a water planet. Look at this. Alright, hold on. It's coming. It's coming. Come on, I make it. I need to make another. Okay, can I make it now? Hold on, I gotta stack it. Where's the other one? There. $40's not enough. Or 26 is not enough. I need 40. I'm like 30 short. Cobalt. I gotta find cobalt. I'm not gonna find it here. Damn. I'm gonna have to come back. Alright, cobalt. I think this is the closest planet right here. It's a redacted planet.
If I was fly, grown wild and free, all I wanted to be myself. Be if I was a tree grown tall and green, all I wanted to shade me and be my leaves. If you
Thank you.
Radiation protection falling. unclear